Hey friends, you're watching BrainStormAcres. I'm Henry and Irene is behind the counter today. I've had a few questions about how we do some things and I'm going to show you. First, we're going to go about glazing some walnuts. It's really simple. It's sugar, water, and walnuts. There's a lot of recipes that tell you to go ahead and put it in the oven. I just cook it on the stovetop and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. I've just added 3 tablespoons of sugar to the pan. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of water. So the general recipe that I use is 1 part of water to 3 parts sugar. Turn it on and start mixing it. It's going to develop a sticky paste. And the trick here is I don't want this sugar mixture to get too hot because when I put the walnuts in, it may congeal that sugar. So I don't want that. So I'm going to go ahead and add the walnuts. Now why am I doing this? Well, it's pretty simple. We have some fabulous lettuce right out of the greenhouse. And we're going to do a salad tonight. And it's nice to have some candied walnuts to go on top. It doesn't take long. So you can use a spatula to move the mixture around while it's warming up, or you can toss it, whichever works for you. It's going to take a little while for this to warm up and for the walnuts to candy, so we'll just kind of hang out while that's going on. I jiggle the pan periodically to keep the sugar from sticking to anything and to make sure that the walnuts are going to get covered. Hey Irene, could you grab some wax paper or parchment paper out of the drawer for me, please? You'll notice that I've stayed right here. I haven't gone any place to get any parchment paper or anything like that because you really want to keep track of this. Sugar can go from nice sugar syrup to a sugar glaze to burned in no time flat. If you use this in an oven, if you cook this in an oven, generally speaking, you'll get it to this point and then put it on a pan in the oven for 10 minutes. I don't do that. It's an awful lot of work. It's more dirty dishes. And besides, I like to be able to get the sugar glaze to caramelize a bit. And there's a few things that I'm watching for when I'm getting bubbles coming up. It's been bubbling for the past couple of minutes. I'm looking to make sure that there's no browning occurring right now, or if it starts to brown, that I notice it. Because, as I said, it's easy to scorch caramel. And basically, what we're doing here is creating a caramel. There's no butter in it. It's just sugar and water, but that's fine. You know, I think I'll do some other glazing of something else here in just a minute, and I will use butter in that glaze. This is simple, it's easy. As you can see, the sugar coating is starting to turn into candy, which is exactly what I want. And I think that's about as far as I want it to go, so I'm going to go ahead and dump this on the parchment paper that Irene got out for me. As you can see, this has some light brown, so it's lightly caramelized. This is a white background, and it shows up the browning very nicely. You don't want to get this stuff on your hands because it will burn at this point. That sugar is very hot, and it will stick to you and create all manner of problems. Well, those are all broken apart. I think that I'll go ahead and set these over on the side so we can have them for dinner. If they make it to dinner.
I doubt they'll make it for dinner. That's a forecast. Pretty predictable forecast.
Now, a lot of people have asked, well, maybe at least a few people have asked, what are we going to do with the carrots? How are we going to cook them? Well, I prefer to eat carrots raw. But there's also times when it's nice to have a cooked carrot. I have here some carrots that I've boiled until they're just almost done. Tastes like cooked carrots. Not really exciting. There's two things I'm going to do here. One is I'm going to make a brown butter sauce to go with these carrots. And then I'm going to glaze the carrots in a fashion similar to what I just did with the walnuts. But I'll show you what the difference is. I have about a tablespoon of butter in this pan. I'm going to go ahead and get it melted and then start getting it to brown. And browning is when the bits of milk solids actually start to turn brown. It changes the flavor of the butter quite substantially. Now this is salted butter. I also have unsalted butter that I can use for another way that I'm going to cook these. Glazed walnuts turned out pretty good. You know, the key to making brown butter sauce for any vegetable, can be used with broccoli, can be used with cauliflower, carrots, peas, beans, pretty much anything that you can think of. You just have to pay attention. Really close attention, because just like the sugar, butter can brown and burn really, really fast. And the reason why I want the brown butter is because that brings a nuttier flavor to the butter, which I think makes the vegetable taste nicer. I don't always do this, but tonight I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. Hey, leave some for dinner.
You know how to make more. You can make more.
Oh, you want me to make more, do you?
Uh-huh.
The butter's going to go through several changes. First, it's going to just kind of start bubbling. Then you'll get this kind of foamy look. And what's really important then is to watch carefully to see when it's browned enough. Now, how much you brown the butter really depends upon your preferences for the flavor. I like more brown. You might like less brown. You know, if you're cooking, you can call the shots. You can decide how much you want and how much you don't. I think this is going to do for this brown butter sauce. I'm just scraping the little bits of milk solids around. That butter is well browned. Now to glaze these carrots, I'm going to do basically the same thing as I did for the walnuts. I'm adding some sugar, some water, and one more thing. I'm going to add some butter to the glaze. You have to be very careful if you're reusing a pan that you've already glazed something in, because there will be caramelization that's already happened. And that can continue, so you just have to be really, really on the lookout for what's going on. There's several ways to glaze carrots. I pre-cooked these carrots in some water on the stove just to make this process a little faster. You can make some modifications to how you glaze and cook the carrots in the glaze water. You just have more water in it. The sugar is bubbling up in large bubbles. They're breaking at the surface. Eventually you're going to change size, and the sugar is going to change color. If you can flip food, you can do that. If you need to use a spatula, do that. If you can hand me another plate when you get a chance. And when you put butter into water and sugar like this, you're basically going to be making a butter caramel. It's not going to have exactly the same characteristics as just glazing the nuts with sugar, but it's going to be nice anyway. Like anything else that you're glazing, that sugar mixture is going to be hot. You can burn yourself easily. So let it cool for a little bit. You ready to give it a try, Irene? I would go with one of the smaller pieces.
Right, on an edge. Where it'll cool up faster. Really good.
You think that's decent?
Definitely decent. I'll have to try with some of our newly harvested carrots.
That's decent. Well, I hope that showed some of what you can do with vegetables, especially carrots. I like carrots plain because they can be really sweet, and our carrots have been coming out of the garden and out of the greenhouse really, really tender and sweet, just delicious.
Right, there's lots of slaws and all kinds of other stuff that you can make with carrots. So this is by no means, you know, the be-all, end-all. But the butter sauce is just a real quick thing if you're looking for just a little bit of touch to something. And the glaze, that's a special treat.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications because we're going to be doing lots more stuff. Mm-hmm. We'll talk with you later. Bye. Bye. Don't forget to brainstorm.
Always.